Hello, welcome to Talking with Tiffany on Sundays. How is everyone? Happy to be here. Definitely was super sick yesterday. So I'm actually glad to be feeling better because that sucked. Um, but today I'm happy to be here again. I'm by myself today, and you want to know it's really funny. I tried to get a show guest for today and and interesting enough, people are um turned off by this word, self-deception. They think that they don't um they don't apply to the word. Like they're like, me self-deceive? I don't that's not me. And I'm like, in lots of situations I was like, that is you, it is I, it is us, it is everyone. We all do this, so you have to be aware of what you actually do and what it means. But a lot of people don't know what self-deception is, and so you have to ask yourself, what is self-deception, and do I even involve myself in it? And self-deception is defined as an untrue falsehood or the act of lying to or tricking someone. But self-deception is lying and tricking yourselves. And so interesting enough, we do this on a daily basis. I had just posted something yesterday. I posted something this morning, and it was talking about how yesterday I knew I didn't feel well, but I kept lying to myself, saying like, "Oh, I can do this, or I can be better," or so I kind of pushed myself to complete something, even though I wasn't feeling better. And I know sometimes we have to do that, but it doesn't necessarily always help us or benefit us. So about like it's interesting that I had to kind of recognize like, oh my God, tomorrow's episode is about self-deception. So self-deception is also the action or practicing allowing oneself to believe a false or unvalidated feeling, idea, or situation that is not true. Um, if you want to discover your best self, you must be transparent. So we often lie to ourselves because we are not transparent with ourselves. We seek transparency from everyone else. But when it comes to being transparent with ourselves, that's hard for us. That is extremely hard for us to say, you know what, this is me, this is the true me, this is who I am. And let me be a part of that. I have a really funny story, and I put this in the book. It's called The Scale Doesn't Lie. And we all get on the scale, and honestly the scale can be off a few pounds, but typically it's generally around the area that we weigh in, right? And so getting on the scale and trying to get deceive it is hard. And sometimes, we'll put extra things on, or we'll put our clothes on, we'll take all our clothes off, we're like, oh, this will take off a couple pounds. But funny story is, my mom was going through a self-revelation phase, right? Where she was like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna lose some weight. I gotta stop looking like this, blah blah." And so she was struggling because we would always catch her like eating at fast foods and things like that. And my daughter would be like, "Mom, I be telling Nana like, yo, this is not good for your diet. This is not good for what you're doing." And my mom be like, "Man, be quiet. That ain't got nothing to do." So my mom would go to places and she would order stuff, and then she would substitute things because in her mind she was deceiving herself. She would order let's say a burger, and then she would get sweet potato fries and a water. And into herself, she was doing herself a favor. And she was following along with the guidelines of staying on a diet. But she was really deceiving herself, because what ended up happening is she went to the doctor and she gets on the scale, and the scale did not lie. It did not tell her that what you've been doing all these weeks is actually beneficial to you. It told her the opposite. What you've been doing to yourself these past weeks, you have been deceiving yourself. You have been allowing yourself to formulate some type of restricted diet in your head that kind of helps you and makes you feel better, um, but doesn't necessarily do anything for your weight. And when she got on the scale, she had to like realize like, oh, wow, this is me. And she came to my house right after the doctor's appointment, and she tells us a story, and she's like, I'm sick of this ish, this is not cool. I gotta stop this stuff. And we're like, finally you see that you're a part of this issue. So in my book, I have this activity, and it is the self-deception. I'm gonna give you guys a look at this really quick. And so in this activity, it is asking you, like, what lies do you tell yourself? And what have you been allowing yourself to believe about yourself that you want to acknowledge? And a lot of us don't even understand that it, it's a lot of things that we'll sit there and lie to ourselves about, and then we wonder why we're caught up in the same situations and stuff, and we don't understand, like, hey, this is a part of who I am, and I need to correct this. Some of us will say, we'll think that when we tell ourselves we're doing better at something, when we could not be better, we could actually be doing it right, but we love to deceive ourselves and create a falsehood that is not true. And so, what lies have you told yourself lately? And who are the people that are around you that are allowing you to live these lies? Because that's extremely important. If you are around people that are allowing you to kind of live in this liehood, right? You're transferring that deception, and I'll talk about that in a second. So I want to make sure that we understand that when you are lying to yourself and when you're deceiving yourself, it doesn't necessarily do you any good, because the truth still stands. The truth always stands. And so if we don't recognize that the truth will always outweigh a lie, we will fall into bad habits of getting into situations where we're like, oh, I didn't know this was me. Yeah, you actually did. You just have chose to deceive yourself. And we don't recognize that's huge. And so if you are living in a day-to-day life where you're lying to yourself and you wake up lying to yourself, like, I'm not a procrastinator. Yes, I am. I'm a huge procrastinator. Like, and I've had to learn hard lessons because of me lying to myself. I just need to be honest about who I am, because the moment that you recognize who you are, and you start being honest with yourself, the lies you can deflect and fight the lies, right? Because now you're like, no, I am a procrastinator, and now I got to do things that actually help with procrastination. No, there's people that are liars that don't think they're liars, because they tell themselves somewhat of the truth, but then they lie to everybody else. I had somebody come to me, and they wanted to get my opinion about some things, and they had read the book, and I said, okay, they had read the first chapter, and I said, okay, read the first chapter, and I knew what I wanted them to look at. So when they came to me, they were like, oh my God, this chapter really spoke to me. And I was like, what about the chapter spoke to you? And so they told me this one part, and I was like, that's interesting. And I was like, well, what about the self-deception? And they're like, well, I'm a horrible liar. Like, I cannot lie to myself. I cannot lie. Like, when I tell a lie, I get caught up and da 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 da. And I said, yeah, interestingly enough, you don't lie to others because it negatively impacts others. But you lie to yourself on a consistent basis and don't recognize how it negatively impacts you. And that person was like, oh my God. And I said, it's because you don't associate yourself with the word deception. You think that deception means to hurt others, or that to deceive others. And if it's negatively impacting others, then you're like, okay, well, I don't do that. Well, there's a lot of us that are not liars to others, but there is a large, vast majority of us that lie to ourselves every day. I lied to myself for JS14. I think I said I was a great parent for a long time, and I actually don't say I'm a great parent. I said I was a good parent. And then last year, I recognized that me and Brandon had self-deceived ourselves. We weren't the parents that we thought we were. You know, a couple years into our relationship, after our 7-year mark, we realized, like, oh my God, we're not the people that we said that we were going to be when we got married. We have deceived ourselves through this relationship. We have lied to ourselves and tried to create these false realities of these people that don't exist. Um, Biggest example is I would tell myself, like, I'm kind. And I saw one day I'm talking to Jordan, and we call Jordan grandma. She is the wisest person in this house. She's still a 9-year-old, so she still acts like a 9-year-old, but she's very wise. And I said to her, she was being mean to her sister, and I said, "You need to be kind." And she said, "Why do you ask me to do things that you're not?" And I said, "Okay." And she's like, "Why do you ask me to be kind and you tell me to do something but you don't show it?" And I was like, "Oh my God, I be lying to myself. I be lying to myself." And it was a huge slap in the face, because the people that are around you are the closest people to you, that they can tell you what they experience in life with you. They can tell you the lies that you live by, that they're like, "That's not true. You're not that dope. You're not that, you know." Or they can say, "Oh my God, you're amazing. You're really dope," and stuff, when you're telling yourself that you're not that dope. There's a lot of us that lie to ourselves and tell ourselves bad things about ourselves, not just good things. We tell ourselves bad things about ourselves, and then we need people around us to lift us up. And then you have those people trying to deflect those lies. I'm that type of person. When somebody tells me, "Oh my God, my stomach's so flabby," or "Oh my God, I'm just a I deflect that with the truth, because I know what God created you to be. So that isn't true. That might be who you are in this moment, but when you are talking about, "Oh my God, my teeth are crooked," or "Oh my God, my smile's ugly," and stuff, your smile lightens up the room. So sometimes we lie to ourselves even about the bad things about ourselves. And so we deceive ourselves into not recognizing what God's true purpose is for us. The scary thing about self deception is it's transferable. A lot of us self deceive ourselves, and then we transfer it to our kids. So then our kids be telling lies. I remember there was this lie going around in my family that my cousin was a certain age. And it was only because my aunt wanted my cousin to start school earlier. And so for years, my cousin would go around telling us, "Well, I'm this age, I'm this age." And we used to be like, "No, you're not. You're not that age. This is how old you are." And so we were always combating his self deception versus our truth of knowing how old he was. And it's interesting enough, like when you go around, there's people, and I'm about to be in your business right now. There's people that are telling folks that you guys are cousins. You're not. You know what I'm saying? There's people, I used to tell people I was, and I don't even know all that I am, that I was Japanese and Black, because I knew that being with colorism and stuff like that, being mixed with something was something exotic. So it made me feel good. And then I had chinky eyes, and my sister is Japanese and Black. Her dad is Japanese and Black. Yes, I am multicultural, but that's not what I am. And so she was like, so I remember when I told my husband this, and he laughed at me. He's like, "I can't believe you were telling people that." I was like, "Yes, I really deceived myself. I really would think that was what I was all about, because that's what kind of made me, you know?" And sometimes the deception and the lie is so good, right? It comforts you. So you want to rest in it. And you can't rest in a lie, because a lie can be deconstructed by the truth. And so you have to understand that when you are constantly in self deception mode, the people closest to you then either have two options, either to believe it or not to believe it. And if you live in this house, you're going to believe the truth. Because I remember there was a situation just a few weeks ago where we're sitting in the room, we're having a family meeting. We have these often. Let me tell you why we have family meetings often. When you pass messages through people and you guys don't all sit down, the message gets misconstrued, and it's kind of playing like a game of telephone. The reason why we sit down and we have family meetings, so everybody can get the message on the same page. Everybody heard what mom said. Everybody heard what dad said. Everybody heard what Jay said. Everybody heard what Jordan said. So nobody can say, "Oh, this is what this person said." No, we were all there. So that is the reason for family meetings. During this family meeting, I'm sitting up there and I'm telling a story. I'm giving a parable. This is how I usually teach my family, about somebody that calls their kids names and stuff like that, and all kinds of stuff. And then my husband makes a comment. He's like, "Who does that?" He was like, "Oh man, that person's trash," and da 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 da. And then my oldest goes, "Well, when you're mad at Jordan, you call her blah 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 blah." And we all looked at him, And for a moment, he had a self revelation and he had to realize that he was self deceiving himself. He had been thinking that he was this positive, uplifting guy sometimes when he gets irritated, and he wasn't. He's really the guy that's like, you don't want to make mad because you're like, you don't know what he's going to say, right? And he's working on that. But he didn't recognize that because he was clearly deceiving himself. In this house, it's cool that a lot of us recognize the truth, and Jordan really makes us stand by that. Um, I remember one time I was talking to her and I was explaining to her to something, and she goes, "Only you know what you're trying to tell me in your head. I do not know that. So you have to be clearer with your instructions in order for you not to be upset with me." I said, "Little girl, okay, you right." And just recognizing that, mom, you don't talk to everybody all the time like that. And then there's another podcast with Jay on there, and it's my parenting one, and it's about how I've not always been here. I'm growing into this person and I'm learning about myself, because for years I self-deceived myself. For years I would allow myself to believe things that weren't necessarily true. And then what happens is where self-deception becomes a big problem is when the people close to you are not allowed to tell you the truth. There are many of us that put people closest to us in situations where the truth is not allowed, because you will either push that person away or choose for that person to no longer be a part of your brainstorming of what you're going to do session group, right? And so you have to understand that when you put people in those positions, you're no longer bound to live by the truth, because you put people um, in a position where they can't be honest with you. And I've had to remove myself out of friendships because of this. Because I'm like, if I can't be me, and it's not me of my own opinion, this is a fact. If you tell me who you want to be, yet you're not living up to that person because you're deceiving yourself, I cannot be in your life if you're not going to allow me to help correct you. I'm also not going to allow your self-deception to be transferable to me, where I start telling people lies about you. I had friends where I was hyping them up, where I would tell people like, "Oh my God, this person's so dope." They're not dope. I have family members. I know there are people that have said that about me in my past about that, and I'm dope now, trust me. But even now, just it's like being able to live up to that. And if you're transferring self-deception and lies to other people, it doesn't help you and it doesn't build you up. It literally tears you down, because what happens is there's gonna have to be a time where somebody's gonna have to fact check that. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a person, it could be God. It could be God coming up to you and say, "Did you really write that quote that you posted on Facebook and said that it was yours? Or did you steal it? Did you really think of that idea, or were you inspired by somebody else and you didn't give them credit? Did you really tell that person that you were going to pray for them, but you really didn't pray for them, but you just, because you are considered a prophetess or a person of God, that you told that? That's self-deception. There's a lot of us living with self-deception and not recognizing who we are. There's a lot of people that um are so concerned about what people think about them, because the one thing I know is the only person that can really judge me is God, right? Yes, we should worry about the people closest to us that are affected by how we are and who we are. But if you are deceiving yourself, you are affecting those people dramatically, and not for necessarily for the good. And even if it, like I said, even if it's just, if you are lying to yourself about you not being worthy enough, yet you're transferring that self worthlessness to your kids, where now they don't think they're worthy enough, right? There's a lot of self deception. There's people that don't think they're great out in the world and they're amazing, and they tell themselves that every day, and then their kids don't think they're amazing, and their kids don't do great things. We have to understand that our generation is here to slay generational curses, and that's what we need to focus on. So make sure that you are not transferring your self deception, because you are a liar. And I mean, just stop lying and be honest with yourself and say, "This is who I am." If your house is dirty, your house is dirty. Don't say, "My house is not always looking like this." Yes, it does. Okay. And the way your house looks probably is the way the inside of your body looks. I had to recognize this self about me, you know. When my mind is busy and stuff like that, I can't understand and lay things out. But if I'm lying to myself and saying I'm not stressed, I remember meeting a lady named Diane, and I met her in Texas. And I remember we were all having a conversation, and my aunt and them were like, "Oh my God, you're losing so much weight, Tiffany. Are you stressed?" I was like, "I'm not stressed. Da, 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 da. I got all this good stuff going on to me." And I started to walk away, and the Holy Spirit said, "You are stressed. You are worn out." And I turned around, I was like, "I am stressed. I just wrote a book. I did it. I don't know how many people are gonna buy it. I don't know what the blah." And I just had to be honest about who I was, like, literally. And I couldn't lie anymore. I couldn't sit up here and say, like, "Oh my God, I'm not stressed." If I am stressed, let me admit to that. And I want to say that that is what God wants you to do, is when you are weak, come to him so he can make you strong. Why would he make you strong if you are walking around here saying that you're strong and you're not? Because you're lying. Why would anybody offer you help, right? This is how deep self-deception goes. Why would anybody offer you help when you say you got it yourself? That's lying to yourself. Instead of just saying, "Hey, I need somebody to be here for me. I need whatever I can get." But when we lie to ourselves, we miss out on blessings because we're lying. And then we're transferring this lie. So then imagine if your blessing, just thinking about helping people, if you told somebody you didn't need help, they then met somebody that could really bless you, right? Really, really bless you. And they said, "Well, how's such and such doing?" They're like, "They're doing great. They said they don't need no help." "Oh, well, that's great. I was just about to give them $1,000. Guess they don't need it." Let's just be honest of where we're at. Let's meet people where we're at so they can help us get to where we're going and where we need to be. No need to lie. No need to lie. Now, last thing is, how do you trash self-deception? Sis, is it you? That's how you trash it. You recognize the things in you, and you have to dig deep into yourself. You have to go deep into yourself and say, "Okay, what is this about me?" And you have to be able to have a revelation about yourself. You have that's how you trash self-deception. In order to throw something away, you have to know that it exists first. You have to also know that it has no value anymore. In order to, when you really want to throw something away, you trash it. I tell people, the problem with relationships, while we go back and forth and arguing, is because we recycle negativity. To recycle is to reuse. Start trashing your crap. If you're a liar, trash it. If that's not the truth about you, trash it. Because if you trash it, then comes the truth. Here comes something new where you can go, "Oh my God, this is who I am. This is who I need to be." And surround yourself around people that can actually build you up instead of tearing you down, right? Have you asked yourself lately, sis, is it you? Is it me? Bro, is it you? You know, am I the person that is constantly wanting the best for myself, but I can't even tell myself the truth? So it's hard to want the best for something when you don't know the truth about something, you know? I can't imagine, for me, right? Knowing, if I didn't know the truth about myself, right? About my gift and how dope I am. And I will keep saying that because God is allowing me to say that. Um, and then not to be honest about it. And I've been there where I've lied about it. I've dumbed myself down. I've watered myself down because I didn't believe it, you know? And it was self-deception. Like I said, self-deception does not have to just come into negatively impacting others. It can negatively impact yourself, which negatively impacts your purpose. And if your purpose is affected by that, sorry, my husband just called. Then you miss out, and you miss out on life, and then you spend a lot of your years wondering, like, what happened? And it's like, yeah, what happened was the truth didn't exist, and you didn't allow the truth to exist. And in order for the truth to actually flourish, it has to be in something that it can flourish in, good soil. So you have to recognize that inside yourself, you might need to clear out your soil and get some better soil. I really want to thank everybody for joining me, and just to get you to tune in for a couple things that are going on. We have I'm going to be doing monthly spiritual garden sessions where you can sign up on my website tiffynee.com, and you can go there, and we'll be having sessions like this where it can be a group and you can ask questions, we could talk, and I hope you work through things, and you'll be able to give assignments and actually do the work on yourself and your soil. And our first one is in November. You can check out my website for the date. Also, I will be airing tomorrow on the Truly Unruly podcast, so check that out. I am also a clinical sexologist, if you did not know, so it gets a little spicy. And just every Sunday here with Talking with Tiffynee for Self Sundays. Also check out throughout the week. I'll be posting other episodes with my children and my husband on the topics of things. I will be talking about parenting, sex, self and spiritual, and relationship. So just make sure you tune in, all kinds of things. I hope you have an amazing Sunday. Enjoy yourself. And now it's time for, I guess, for me to be a mom. Enjoy yourself. Have a good day.